What about Cam? What's going on with him? What do you think of this?
I thought it was pretty telling last week when when the owner of the Panthers basically said, "Talk to me when he's healthy." Is he healthy? We don't know. And I'm paraphrasing, but
Right.
he said something like that. I mean, you know enough about Cam Newton's physical condition to know what kind of physical shape he's in right now and how his shoulder is. How can you not really? And so that said to me, like, they've already mentally started thinking about life after Cam. Now, that's just me having covered the league for a long time. That might not be what David Tepper is thinking, but it sure sounded like that's what he's thinking. The one thing you know about Tepper, and I mentioned Phillip Rivers to Indianapolis, Teddy Bridgewater to Tampa, David Tepper proved with the Matt Rule negotiations, or I don't even call it a negotiation. I call it handing him a lottery ticket. And in making him, basically the highest paid first-year head coach ever in the NFL. If you're going to give Matt Rule $8.8 million a year when he has been in the NFL for 1 year as an assistant offensive line coach, well, that just says to me that if David Tepper really wants something, if he really wants Phillip Rivers, I don't know that he'll get him,
right?
But he will outbid anybody else who wants Phillip Rivers. Same thing with Teddy Bridgewater. So that's the thing right now that we don't know. They've been a pretty tight ship right now in Carolina. So you don't really hear a lot of good or reliable rumors out of there. But to me, if David Tepper wants one of these guys on the market, he'll be able to go get him.
Or has given his coach so much security, and with Olsen now in Seattle and Luke Kuechly gone, and
you're right. Maybe they're going to start from scratch,
which is why
draft Justin Herbert, and play at the patient, play the long game.
Well, Daniel Jeremiah said in terms of the long game, he was here yesterday. What about tanking for Trevor? Trevor Lawrence lurks, sir, down the horizon.
I mean, look at everybody said the exact same thing a year ago about the Dolphins. Then the Dolphins dumped three of their top. They already were a crappy team. They dumped three of their top 10 players.
Yeah,
and then they won more games after Halloween than the New England Patriots. So I don't understand how anybody could logically say, "Hey, let's try to get the first pick next year." There's a matter of playing the games. And unless you're going to fix the games, it's pretty hard to say in a year where you could get Justin Herbert, hey, wait a second, let's try to go 1-15 next year so we can be sure we get Trevor Lawrence. How do you know you're going 1-15?
Right.
How do you know somebody else isn't going 1-15? So that's a pretty dangerous game to play, in my opinion.
For more of The Rich Eisen Show, tune to Audience Channel 239 on DirecTV for free on BR Live or download the Rich Eisen Show app.